Here I wasn't sure if I should voice what the deaf person was saying, because if this were a real VRS call, I wouldn't. Because I understand as a hearing person that this is a recording and this is a machine and that no one is going to answer and there's not a real person that's going to be helping me right now. But I voiced it because that seemed that was how the video was supposed to go, with how the deaf person responds later on. So that's the reason I decided to voice that.
For example, you could say, I want to order a new bag.
I already told you. I just need some help fixing my friend problem.
Sorry.
Okay, and then here at this point, when the machine prompts you to explain your problem, I would have I would have held the information, the reason the deaf person was calling, I would have held that, and then used it here when the machine actually prompts you to use your voice and explain what the issue was. But that's not the way that the script went, so I decided to voice what I saw, which was a deaf person saying that they already told the machine why they were calling. So I feel like this is a pretty VRS specific demand where you're holding information that you know will probably come up later, because in hearing culture we understand that this is a recording and that they're not going to understand and hear your voice until they ask for it. So that's something I would have done in real life.
I didn't hear that. You can also say operator or press 0.
What?
For security purposes,
Here I added press 0 for a live person because I wasn't sure if the deaf person would know what operator meant. I fingerspelled the word operator. So I was trying to prompt the deaf person probably to press 0 so that we could have a better chance of getting the problem fixed, instead of just dealing with the machine and all these random numbers.
please enter the account password. Please re-enter your password.
So I was I was mimicking, copy signing the numbers that the deaf person was giving me at this point for the purpose of this project. But in real life, I probably would have used my board, my little whiteboard that I would have, and I would have written down her password numbers. And then once she looked up, I would have, when the operator, or when the message says, please enter your password again, then I would have entered those numbers that she gave me, instead of saying, please enter it again, and making the deaf person more confused. I'm probably taking over a little bit too much call ownership, possibly. That could be one opinion. Because right now, with this deaf person getting all confused and jumbled up with the machine, they're learning this type of process, and they'll probably need to do it again. So maybe it's good that they're getting confused and learning so that they can figure out how to do it on their own. But at this point, I probably would have stepped in and I would be helping a little bit to facilitate the process instead of making it more and more confusing. Which probably is taking away call ownership a bit. But I feel that call management is more important at this point.
Please hold for a representative. Your call will be answered in the order in which it was received. Please note that call volume is high. There may be a long wait time to speak with a representative. However, we can handle most concerns through our automated system.
So at this point, I'm not sure if the deaf person pressed 0 or if the interpreter myself was supposed to have pressed 0, which I probably would have done, taken over call ownership and pressed 0 at this point, just to salvage the call. But so that is why I signed operator contact will because we're contacting, it's like the machine saying, I'm going to contact a live person for you. Yeah, so overall this was a bit of a mess. My interpretation for the project is definitely different than how I would have interpreted it in real life, because there wouldn't have been a script with the deaf person, you know, I wouldn't have seen it already and known what I was supposed to be doing. But I definitely would have taken over call ownership a lot more, which is maybe, some people would argue, not the best option, but I think that it would be, just in order to get this call finished and to get what the deaf person needs and more understanding of their problem. My call management skills would have had included holding information, not voicing some information, using the whiteboard, keep holding that information, and then using it later at a time when I knew would be appropriate. I think my interpretation for the project was pretty effective. But yeah, definitely things would have been different in real life. My controls would have been a lot different.